Have you ever wondered why it is some people are really at the top of their game, doing really well and being successful and earning money and being given accolades and awards, and you kind of watch them from a distance and say, that could have been me? Well, I'm going to show you how it can be you in less than 1 month. On today's episode, there are no podcast guests. It's just you and me and a load of amazing ideas. Do not go anywhere. I will share everything with you on this exclusive and special episode of Speak on Stage. So welcome back to the show. I get lots of people saying to me, Dave, we've not seen you talk for ages. We've seen you interview lots of different people, and it's been great. And on this episode, I can tell you we've looked back at this point to have had Dave Ulrich and Joel Comm and Raymond Aaron, and we've got some amazing guests lined up to talk to you in the future as well. But this is about you. People say, I love your guests. I love thought leadership. I love the idea of raising my own game, but how do I do it? And I said, look, let me show you how. In fact, I'll do a whole show dedicated to showing you the challenges you've got and why you need to step up. If you don't step up, I can promise you there's something coming, like an AI tsunami that is going to flatten everything you've ever believed. There's never been an existential crisis like we're going through right now. And I know you're saying, well, maybe, when we talk about tsunami and we talk about the fact that the water disappears and you can feel just the trickles of water around your toes, and they say, well, that must be okay. It can't be that bad. And then we're hit by this incredible wall. And I don't mean disrespect to anybody who's experienced this, but AI is going to do the same to you. What do I mean? I'll tell you in a moment. This is Speak on Stage. So I come back to this show. You've not seen it for ages. There are lots of different episodes you can get by subscribing to wherever you found this. I love to have your thoughts, your questions, your queries, your comments. Feel free to share this. And also, you're also welcome to go back and review it at any point and go over the bits that I haven't mentioned to you so far. The VIP mentoring program is my solution for you to be able to raise your game in 1 month. What does that mean? Why should I do it? And what makes you so special, Dave? Great questions. I'll share them with you on this episode. Do not go anywhere else. So we're going to raise your game in 1 month. And what game is that, Dave? Well, there's a number of different things to consider, and that's what we're going to be examining in the next few minutes on this podcast. But first, I'm going to ask a question. Who benefits from this? And so if you are one of these people, you will want to be paying attention because it's really important that you understand what's going on here. First of all, if you're a CEO or a founder, you need to position yourself as a leader. There's no more important time for that to happen than now. If you're a senior executive, that's a director or a VP, or a C-level independent identity, you need to make sure that you are seen as an independent identity from your organization because you never know what's going to change. Entrepreneurs and startups, you can earn more when you become more visible and bankable. You'll do that as a result of this. Consultants and freelancers, the biggest challenge is being positioned as the best in your field and also making sure that people see that and appreciate it and will hire you without having a price war with the company next to you. Industry analysts, if you are out there sharing with everybody what we need to do next, you need to be able to grow your brand and do the stuff that I'm going to share with you in this podcast to be able to then make sure that you are seen as that. Academic leaders, if you're a teacher or a professor or a lecturer, your influence as a subject matter expert is all based on what people think of you. And if they can only find you in a classroom, that's kind of worrying when you see things changing, as I'm going to describe in a few moments' time, and your job could be replaced very quickly unless you are unreplaceable. What does that mean, Dave? Think about it. Authors and speakers. If you're out there with a book and you're speaking on stages, well, you're kind of safe for now, but have you considered how many books are on the market, what makes you invisible, and the fact you've not sold many of them and not got many followers because there's so much noise in the market? We're going to be addressing that. Game changers. If you want to make your game different, your job different, your industry better than it's ever been before, then we're going to share with you a way and a path to make sure that you change things for future generations. Over 50s workers, if you're feeling it, the pinch at work or feeling the pinch in your physical sense, there's a worry that you could lose your job. And what do you do to get it back again? Well, you won't worry about it after listening to this podcast. Number 10 on this list is career climbers. If you are doing well and you're thinking, I want to get up higher and get recognized more, be more visible and have people so they say, you're the next big boss, I can see that trajectory, then you're going to want to watch this as well. And lastly, students starting out into a market that might not even exist yet. You want to be recruited. You want to be part of a new draft for every organization, but how do you do that when you've got no experience? This is how you do it. So make sure you stick around and pay attention to this. I'm going to share this with you right now. This is your QR code for the VIP mentoring program. Get your phone or your device, or if you're watching this and it's connected to the internet, just get your finger and go boop on this. I'll go to, if you're listening to the podcast, www.speakonstage.com. Summer VIP. That's Summer VIP. And that allows you to go to the website and you'll see all the details about how we can work together. Meanwhile, let's get into it. I made some big promises and I'm going to deliver them. So let's start right now. Question: what does society always value most? And I have shared this question before in previous seasons of Speak on Stage. And I'm going to throw it at you now. Put the answers into the comment section. Or, as always, I will tell you in a few moments if you haven't come up with it, so don't stress too much about it. Very simple answer. People say, oh, the value, your net worth, or the value, your expertise, or the value, what you've done with yourself, or your fame and your glory and all the rest of it. It comes down to one basic fact: status. People value your status. And that involves a lot of different factors, some of which I've mentioned before. Let me show you on a proper diagram what that would be. So, first of all, they value your dominance, how well you've shown that you're the best in what you do, your success, your financial success, but also your success related to the way that people would view other people in your market and say, well, you're the most successful person there. And also your virtue. This is number 3. What does virtue mean? Well, how fast you are to stick to your guns, stick to your principles, your values. You believe in them and you are unwavering in them and they've kept you going and so on. If your values are a bit messed up and your values don't resonate with anybody else, then you're not going to find yourself high in the status game. People won't want to come near you. But if your virtues are really generous or they speak to certain audiences, then that's going to work. So you've got to display your warmth, your expertise, and your sincerity in what you do. Now, I've talked about this before. I'm not going to spend too long on it because I just want to illustrate the importance of your status. This is So whether you just see that video because I've sent it to you by WhatsApp, or I put it onto a big stage before I go on stage, or somebody sends it to you to say, this is a guy we want to work with, that, even without any words on it, it tells you that I know what I'm talking about because you can see the people I'm associated with, you can see the evidence of the things I've done, and it gives me that level of status that says, well, I'm not sure what he can do for us, but it's quite clear he knows what he can do for us. That's credibility. It's about trust. And they're really important facts. Trust and credibility is what everybody wants from you to be able to want to work with you. If you can't show instantly that you are somebody who can be trusted and you have credibility and proof and evidence you've been around for a long time, then people will just go to somebody else who can show it more than you. And that's more important than even the price. People know the old phrase, penny wise, pound foolish. Well, it's really about the fact that you want to spend money on guaranteed results. You're selling certainty, which is so important. Now, let me share with you this particular thing that came out from Forbes magazine. Forbes said that the personal brand that you have, personal branding, is a top 7 in-demand skill for 2024. That's Forbes magazine. It's really important to know that because if you haven't got a personal brand, how are people going to find you? Your brand is what people say about you when you leave a room. So if people say, I don't know who that person is, or people say, I hate that person, or people turn around and say, that person is amazing, you've got to connect with them, Google them, then imagine the difference that has on your success rates and your business and your revenue and even your happiness, because people all have a great word to say about you. It doesn't happen by accident. It's something that you cultivate in person, online, through your omni-channel and beyond. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. I did mention it at the beginning of today's podcast, so let's give it a little bit more thought when we start discussing about this. AI, artificial intelligence. Does that worry you? It might not be. You're probably either ignoring it, or you're embracing it, or you're not sure where it's going to go, but you should be scared. In my opinion, it's the biggest thing to hit the world since the awareness of climate change. And it's already making such a difference to businesses around the world. You should be kind of worried. But don't just take my word for it. This AI tsunami is coming for all of us. It's digital. It's everywhere already. It's programming robots that are already there. The robot dogs you might have seen, the home helps that are being built by Tesla and Elon Musk. And they're going to be everywhere. It's already there, driving drones and all sorts of stuff. You might have it to write documents or books. It's everywhere. So you should be worried about it, but you should also be embracing it. And that's what I want to share with you right now. According to Mo Gaudat, who is the ex-chief business officer at Google X, an incredible guy, he walked away from his job and went out on a mission to teach people about how to deal with stress and humanity and happiness and AI. He walked away from an incredible job because he realized how important this was. He says AI will disrupt the job market significantly over the next 2 years. And it sounds like rhetoric. It just sounds like Dave, okay, whatever. You know what you're trying to scare us with that next 2 years? I'll worry about it in 2 years. But let me share with you exactly why it's going to disrupt everything so much. If we did an IQ test for you, I don't know what your IQ would be. I'm guessing 100 plus, okay? So what's ChatGPT 4? That's at 150 IQ. What was Einstein? Seen pretty much as the most intelligent person of all time. He was at 160. Now, ChatGPT 4 is 10 times smarter than ChatGPT 3.5. If you've got both of them, then you'll know because you've tested them to see which one remembers, retains, comes up with better ideas. But at the moment, they're large language models. They're learning the language and they're able to use that effectively. The next one that comes out is going to be even more powerful. Beyond Einstein, it's probably the most powerful person on the planet as it is right now for attention and ideas and communicating. People turn around to you and say this thing. You've probably heard people say it. Oh yeah, but it's not intelligence. You got to wait to the singularity, or you got to wait for polarity for it to come together and be a living. It's already breathing. It's already understanding in its own way. It's living and breathing, and it might not even notice that humans exist. Right now, we've got ways of tapping into it. But the experts can't tell you how it's growing or what it's doing. They just know that it's there. But as it grows and it feeds on itself, it's going to become more and more intelligent. It may turn up in a situation like Terminator where we all get wiped out, but it's unlikely that that's going to happen. What's more likely to happen is in the near future, we're going to find that anybody who doesn't embrace AI won't be doing their job anymore unless they're gardening or constructing, but at some point the ability to keep a ledger or decide how to set out the gardens or how to build a building is going to need an AI constructing part of it, because otherwise you won't know how to do it more efficiently than the competition. If you don't integrate AI, you will disappear in the next 2 to 3 years in comparison to the people who do use it. Now I'm talking about this, and I hope I'm not scaring you too much, but I kind of am. And you're saying, Dave, it's too early. I don't know what you're on about. Well, here's the thing. A lot's changed recently. We find some people getting richer and richer, and other people getting poorer and poorer. And it's not just about taxes, it's about tech. The guys who run the tech companies for the last 10 plus years have been earning exponentially more money than anybody else. They're also the guys with the AI. Can you imagine how much that multiplies, where everybody else is trying to do their thing is just not relevant anymore? I think you should be worried. I think the question you should be asking is, how do you stay employable? when AI really hits your industry. And you may be saying, Dave, yeah, but I'm fine. I'm a lawyer. I studied to be a lawyer. I spent 7 or 8 years getting to the point where I'm doing this stuff amazingly in courts and able to remember all the cases. AI can learn 7 years worth of court cases in 7 seconds already. So if I can get my ChatGPT to learn all the cases by feeding them in, I don't actually need to go to a lawyer, apart from maybe to sign a legal document. But if it just needs a knowledge of spending an hour with a lawyer, I've got that for free forever. Same with medicine. Yes, you do need doctors to put the bandage, well, you need nurses to put the bandages on. And yes, it helps to have a surgeon. But already we're finding that surgery can be done by AI, driving robotics and so on. Can you see where this goes? Accounts, all the jobs where you've got paid a huge amount of money because of your knowledge, that's not quite so important anymore. Because you will not be employable if somebody can do it cheaper through an app. So what do we do? How do we stay employed? How do we stay at the top of our food chain? Well, first of all, when the AI wipes everything out, and it won't wipe everything out, we've still got a wonderful opportunity to embrace it, and I believe that's what we're going to do. But if you don't learn to surf, effectively, AI, you'll find it's everywhere and you'll feel underwater. Your skills of the old school will not be relevant in 2 years unless you've got them plus AI. You've got to stay on top of it and work with it. So let's have a look at that, plus other challenges. What other challenges, Dave? Well, let's start with this big one. Society promised you certain things. And you're going to say, what do you mean society? Well, do you remember when you went to school, you were told to sit down, study, and carry on, hand in your exams, do really well, and then you get a good job. And so you worked really hard and you sat down and a teacher told you to shut up and you did your homework, you did all those things, and maybe you did get a good job, maybe you didn't, but the job wasn't guaranteed forever. You were told that the governments and the big bosses, all the people who are rich, have your best intentions at heart. And so you just do your stuff and be as humble as a church mouse, and you'll find that the results are there for you and you'll do really well. It's not the case anymore. Things have shifted. Remember, the education system was set up 200 years ago to get people out of the fields in agriculture revolution into factories with the industrial revolution. That's why they had certain things in place. Get them all at the same age, teach them all together, get them to pass certain exams, and maybe they'll be useful for me in my factory. The same system, the same business model is still there. And by the way, the QR code you can see here, if you want to scan this is the same one to join the VIP mentoring program. I'll tell you more details about that later on, but feel free to have a look at it at any point. So let's return to this society's promise, because also technological advancements are happening all the time. That should worry you, because there's certain things that we can do, which is amazing, but certain things that we don't need to do because they're done by something else. Well, that helps, but at the same time, if an app can do what you used to sell to the market, like being an artist, I'm being asked to design something specific, I can get something specific from ChatGPT or DALL-E or any of the other focusing and image producing apps using AI. In 10 to 30 seconds, I can get a masterpiece and it's unique and nobody can steal it. Well, steal it because I just generate another one. So tech is going at a crazy rate. Ageism. Everyone got told, that's fine, keep working, retire about 65, 70, and then you'll have a couple of years of pension and you'll be fine. The truth is you're going to live a lot longer than that. Our age, and I'm 56, I expect my generation to live to 90, maybe even 100. My daughter, definitely, she's 11 now. She's 13 now. She tell me off, 11, Dad. But she's 13 now. She's expected to be at least to 100, maybe more. And children that are being born right now, they should expect to live to about 120. Why is that? Because technology is going at such a crazy rate. We've already got things like CRISPR, which can reprogram our DNA, and we're finding ways to fight cancer and all the things that used to kill us early. We're all healthier, we eat better, we don't drink so much. There's a lot of changes that are happening, but the system hasn't set up to look after us as we get older. In fact, the big challenge for many people is when you turn 50, you're losing your job. You're too expensive. Insurance is expensive. Medical's expensive. When you take a holiday, we promise we'd pay for your holiday, but you've got 3 kids. We can get somebody else in who's not as good as you. We can train them, and it costs us a quarter. We get 4 people to do what you do for the same price. Yeah, they're not as good. It'll take a little bit of time, but then we get 4 leaders. I know you've worked really hard, but come on, the tech and the stuff that you don't know yet, they start off knowing it. So ageism is a huge part. It's fart. A huge part of the challenges that people have to factor in. Put your teeth back in, David, and don't go. All right, next up is this: changing skills and the demands for changing skills. We have to upskill. We have to learn new stuff. The rate that AI is throwing stuff. Are you any good at prompt engineering? Do you remember when people had to learn to be coders? If you were a coder, you're guaranteed to work forever. In fact, everyone was told, learn machine coding. Well, you don't need to learn machine coding because AI does it already. In fact, all the big tech companies, Google, Meta, everybody turned around and they got rid of a ton of the coders. We don't need them. 30,000 here, 70,000 there. They're laid off with skills that nobody wants anymore. They have to reinvent themselves to be able to stay relevant and earn. And they used to be the hottest ticket in town. Also, economic factors. It gets more expensive to be able to do stuff that you need to do. Price isn't going down anywhere around the world, and you have to be able to pay for it with less resources and less opportunities. The shift in work culture, working from home or working from an office, maybe, but things are different. People don't want to work in an office if it can avoid it, so bosses have to do it a different way. And if you work from home, why work with one particular company? Why not have many? It's very different for a company, very different for individuals in a good way, but it's a massive shift from what you expected. Limited networking. We are spending less time meeting new people, new friends. We have less people in the community that care about us. It's just a natural fact. If you spend more time on a device and less time going out because it's expensive, or you're stuck in traffic, or everybody you need to know is online, you are not going to have as many friends. And it's a fact. You will live longer in your life if you have a lifelong partner. It could be a partner that's a romantic partner, but it could be somebody who's just there to make you feel valuable. If you don't, you live a lot less and you get open to prone to a lot more diseases as a direct result of having to deal with all the stress yourself. This is the truth. Health concerns, I already tipped into them there. People are more worried about stuff than possibly ever before because you can Google it and see all these different things. We do have health concerns, and part of that is we understand the need for well-being. How many people after the pandemic, myself included, were dealing with anxiety and dealing with depression and dealing with the fact you're disconnected from people? I've had to reinvent myself completely to be at a position where I can really help and connect to people. You may have found out yourself. I go out for a power walk every morning for 45 minutes. What's a power walk, Dave? You just walk as fast as you can so you couldn't hold a conversation. I do that every day to get myself into a swing of things where I'm losing weight, I get my head in the right space, I listen to a podcast, you maybe listen to mine while you're doing your power walk or whatever it is that you're doing. I do it because I don't like going to a gym. I don't like sitting in traffic. I don't like having to wait. I don't like looking at people who are a million times fitter than me being looked after by people who run the gyms who are only interested in the fitties. Hey, I'm a fatty. That's not what I'm after. Health concerns, outdated job search skills. What do they want you to do when you're looking for a job? Well, probably not what you trained for, because that's going to be done by an app or AI, or the industry doesn't need it anymore. Remember, if you're working in the garden or you're working in construction, they will still need you to physically do what you do. Everything else, there's a way of upgrading, and you might not need those skills. So also, the lack of personal branding. Are you invisible when people try and find you? You might turn around and say, yeah, but I kind of like that, Dave. I don't want to be on everyone's radar. Well, here's the thing. If we are going more freelance and you have to upskill yourself and you have to be present and people can pick and choose from anybody around the world, why would they choose you? You need to have a personal brand that reflects your quality. As you're watching this, you're probably on LinkedIn, or you've got a LinkedIn connection, or you've got a profile there. Good for you, round of applause. But if it doesn't have it filled in and optimized, telling people what you can do for them, they're just going to skip past you and go to somebody else. Now, if you're on a job, that's fine. Don't have to worry about it. I'm fine until you lose that job, or until you need a side hustle and you start something else and you're completely invisible. You need to have a personal brand. I've heard people say, no, you need a reputation. Get your reputation later. Build your brand now, especially if you're running a business and you want to be prominent. If you have got a personal brand and people can find out who you are, as a CEO of a big company, your company will be at least 20% more profitable because people will read about you, see you, catch you on interviews, get videos of you talking about your vision, and will say that's a great guy. I love what they do. So therefore, I'll buy their products. It aligns with who I am and what I want to talk about. Does that make sense? So therefore, a personal brand is very useful for everybody, and you should consider having one. So institutional factors. Things are changing in terms of the governments, in terms of let's look at the very simple facts that right now, if you are running one of the big 7 tech companies, with probably about 30 who are massively influential, they are as much, if not more influential than many governments because they are hanging around over and influencing the people in every company. Think about TikTok and what America is planning to stop TikTok because it sees it as coming out of China, where there's challenges about where the data goes and how it's used for potential data warfare. So is TikTok massive? Yes, it is. WhatsApp is massive. Look at the power that someone like Mark Zuckerberg holds of Meta. Now, he might have moved away from AI, but certainly the stuff that he does have, Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp, are massively influential across the world. So you need to be able to deal with all those things. Question is this: how are you going to survive the AI tsunami? I'll leave you a few moments to have a think about it. That's meant to be me, actually. I've had my haircut since. But that would be if it was digital, that would be the tsunami heading towards you. You have to be able to deal with it. And if you haven't thought about it until now, then I want you to consider it because it's really important. What are you going to do to upskill and where are you going to apply that to really take yourself to the next level? My answer is thought leadership. I don't think influencers have the same weight anymore. Yeah, there's some big brands out there. Some people who are very famous and people turn around and say, oh, yeah. You know, I love Kardashians. I love all these influencers on YouTube. Yeah, great. That's great. But more and more brands are turning to industry micro-influencers. People who are doing they're looking after a small group of fans or followers, but they're very specific to an audience, very specific to a task or a thought or to a skill set or to an industry. They're the ones that are getting the money from as a brand ambassador or sponsorship because it's quite clear who they look after, who they serve, and what they do. You may have certain things that you're interested in that you do really well. Well, if you can position yourself as a thought leader, that is the new influencer. It's exhausting, isn't it? Don't worry, there's more to come and a solution for you as well. So I've got my Industry Icon program. You may have come across this. I've not told you about it for ages. Where have you been? I've not mentioned it until now. So this is my Industry Icon program. It'll make perfect sense. And if you're wondering what does that mean, well, find out. It's only about a minute or so long. Watch this. Hi. I'm Dave Crane, an ex-BBC journalist who transforms decision makers and business owners who are feeling unknown and scared to speak on stage into highly respected and branded industry experts who are frequently getting offered 5, 6, and even 7-figure contracts to do exactly what they did before. During the pandemic, I lost everything except the belief that, like me, the world is full of frustrated leaders and game changers with untapped potential and brilliant ideas who felt time was always against them because they were worth much, much more and just needed help to learn to jump and grow wings on the way down. And so that's what I do. I help create industry icons. Imagine being in constant demand, headhunted and interviewed because you are the visionary whose life purpose and passion are aligned. So every single day you wake up smiling, truly happy, only doing what you want, when you want, and having plenty of time to spend with those you love. I created the Industry Icon program to give you simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies to help you to fly. If you're an ambitious entrepreneur or one in the making who's looking to create a business that makes an impact and a life worth living, here's what you do next. Go to theindustryicon.com and register to work with me. Together, we'll build your legacy. And then, as an industry icon, you too can change the world. So there we go. That's the Industry Icon program which I created as long as a podcast as well, speak on stage to help people to raise their game and be positioned as best that they can do. You've probably come across that before, and I work with people all around the world. In fact, on that video, if you saw the people who were just popping up as the people who were working with me then, if you Google them now or you look at what they're doing on LinkedIn, every single one of them is at the top of their game in their industry. It's unbelievable. Whether it's speaking on stage, bringing out books, leading the world, being a consultant that gets paid 6-7 figures to be able to do what they do, it's incredible. So I know this system works. It's time for you to start upskilling and upgrading who you are and what you do. So you can ride, that's meant to be me surfing. Yeah, my hair blowing in the wind. Can't you see it happening? You can see that the hair's a bit shorter now. You can ride the AI wave by raising your game. Why would that work? Well, simply because what happens is when you are better at doing what you're doing and you've got a brand, you can see what's happening around you faster. People will come to you as a visionary, as a thought leader, and ask your opinion. So it's like a phrase, and I don't mean disrespect with this. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. I don't mean anything to disabilities in this, but just think about what that means. If you've got a brand and you're visible and people know you and respect you and they've already got that kudos, that trust and credibility from your peers, you will find out faster what's going to hit your industry, and the people who are bringing along the solutions will ask you to help them to work on the solutions better. If you don't go down that route, then you'll end up with everybody else at the same position and everybody disappears. Now it sounds overdramatic, but let me put this in perspective when things change. Do you remember taxi drivers were the most smart people when it came to navigating around the roads? They knew where your house was, or they knew how to go down that street, and it was very rare when they'd say to you, oh, tell me where to go. But sometimes they'd say, tell me where to go. But in London, in the UK, they got a thing called the knowledge. They would learn and train for months to know every nook and cranny, every street, every avenue, every corridor, every corner, so they could take you to your house or the place you needed to go. Well, that changed. Just think about GPS. When you got Waze or anything like that, you can find your way there yourself, but you might not have a car. Well, what about the taxi drivers, Dave? Well, what about Uber? Anybody with a phone and a car can become a taxi driver. Is that great? Yeah, it drives the price down, but it's not if you're a taxi driver. It's very difficult to get a living unless you really raise your game to the top of it as a limousine driver or a chauffeur or somebody who does specific trips with specific vehicles. You see what I'm talking about? Positioning. It's really important to get that right. So raise your game. So how do you use this to succeed? What's the solution? Very simple. Go ask a question. What proves your worth? What do you do that makes the world turn around and say, wow, you are amazing at what you do? Answers on the question. By the way, if you just joined us, tell me whereabouts you are. I'd love to find out. And if you've missed the beginning of this, go back and watch a replay. I'll look exactly like this because it will be recorded for you. So what proves your worth? Well, very simple. You have to look at what you've done and what that means to a certain audience. Let me explain. So here's the legend of the old man and the hammer. I mean, I don't know who that guy is with a moustache. It looks a bit like Sam Elliott, doesn't it? You know Sam Elliott? Google Sam Elliott, you'll know who I'm talking about. But imagine that you had a factory. And in this factory, you had all the company working on the machinery. They build gadgets. They build sewing machines. So they're building sewing machines. And this factory churns out sewing machines. But then the machines stop. Not the sewing machines, the machinery that builds the sewing machines. Should have chosen a different analogy. But anyway, the machines stop and it ends up with them not being able to start it up again. For the whole weekend, everything is shut down. The staff are there, the lights are on, the electricity is going, but the actual creation of the widgets or the machines, the sewing machines has stopped. The boss is panicking. He turns around and says, right, what are we going to do? Let's get in the expert. Let's get the guy who used to work here, used to engineer everything, used to look after all the tech. Let's get him back in again. So this old guy with moustache, who looks a bit like Casey Jones or whatever it would be, part man, part walrus, comes in with his lovely hat that he got from the Village People. I should stop this. Let's get serious again. So he comes in and he looks around and he examines this whole thing. And then he goes over, takes the top of one part of machinery, gets out his little hammer from his box of tricks. It's not a box of tricks, it's actually a suitcase or a bag of tools. And he takes his hammer and he goes over and he presses something. Bang, bang, bang. Hits it 3 times, then goes back over to the start button, presses it, bang, and suddenly everything starts again. The machinery is working, the factory is going. The millions they've lost are no longer going to be millions on the future that they're going to lose because he's fixed it all. Everyone's like, wow, amazing. Everyone gets back to work and the big boss says, I can't thank you enough for that. That's brilliant. How much do I owe you? Well, the guy turns around and gives him an invoice and walks out. Now, here's where the challenge is. The invoice is for $100,000. Now, they did lose millions over the weekend while the factory shut down, but the guy was in and out in about 5 minutes. So the boss turns around and says, hold on, wait. You can't justify $100,000 for the 5 minutes or so you spent in this factory. It's a ridiculous amount. So he takes the invoice back, and he gets a pencil out, and he writes on it 2 things. Tapping with the hammer is worth $2. But knowing where to tap, that's worth $99,998. What I mean by this is your expertise over many, many years of doing incredible stuff really brings you down to a position where you can negotiate. Now, it might be that your company doesn't value you because you put in 20, 30 years of being an expert, but that means you've got to grow your own brand and sell your services to the world, or at least get people to find you and work with you. Does that make sense? Let me give you another question now. What's a formula for being paid? Are you with me so far? Good. Put it in. Yes. Okay. What's a formula for being paid? The formula for being paid is 2 things. First of all, the effect of the job you do. And secondly, how cheaply you can be replaced by somebody else. That's it. It's not about how good looking you are, how connected you are, how much people love. None of that. Can you do the job I need you to do? Trust and credibility. And can I get somebody in cheaper than you? If the answer is no, then you will get the business. If you can get somebody in cheaper than you, then you haven't focused deeply enough into what you do really well. You're doing a general job. In which case, you're in a difficult situation. You're in a red ocean, as they say. You want to be using a blue ocean strategy and being the only person that they can call on. Then you can charge what you want. Does that make sense? Good. So why am I telling you this? What is it that you get as value out of this whole conversation, apart from being worried and thinking, Dave, where does this go? Well, very simply, your expertise is incredibly valuable. Who you are, what you do, is worth its weight in gold. Let's take what I talked about earlier. I talked about lawyers. And by the way, this is the QR code for the VIP mentoring details. If you want to go and have a look at it now, you're very welcome to do so. Or at least scan it, open up the web page, and you can go through it more detail later. If you're a lawyer and you find out your ability to do law and say, right, this is the case that we should be looking at. This is in discussion with Smith versus Global. And that's what they found as a case. Doesn't matter what you say. Anybody can look it up. They can get AI to do it for you. Why are you valuable? Because you can turn around and say, look, I've been in the industry now for 20 years. These are the cases I've won. This is a proof that I'm brilliant at what I do. But also, yeah, that's what the case studies say. But I know that looking around this courtroom and having seen the judges and the jury, they will not go in that direction. Because it's raining outside, or because there's been an economic climate that they're going to go through, or because it's been, they're all hungry, and it's dark, and it's cold, or they've been, doesn't matter, you'll be able to see things that other people cannot see from your own experience. Your skills are amazing, that's why you need to lean into them. Does that make sense? Because knowledge is power, and people will still pay for that, even in an AI world. Jobs may not disappear completely, but they will evolve, and only the people that are experts will find that they are still being used as experts. Here's another example. How many people have got a mobile phone? Everybody's got a mobile phone, Dave. You can do anything with a mobile phone. You can take really quality, high level photos. So, what happened to wedding photographers? What happened to other photographers? Well, anybody at the wedding can take a video, anybody at the wedding can take pictures, but do you want those pictures on their phone to be the only recollection that you got married? Well, no, you'll still pay for a wedding photographer because you want to be a top level guaranteed trust and credibility. I'll get the best pictures from anyone. Yeah, I'll get the photos from the phone. Yes, I'll get the funny moments from the videos, but I want to have a proper collection of everything for the most important day. Does that make sense? So that's why knowledge is power, and people still pay for that. You've got to prove, though, that you can help them. That's what your brand is. What do you have to prove, Dave? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. You've got to upskill yourself, and you've got this summer to do it. This promotion is only going to last until we go back to work. This is a promotion of me working with you to raise your game, and it's only during the summer months. I'm traveling, but I will find a coffee shop and I will work with you, and I've got a special system set up to take you to a level where you are upgraded in anything you want to do. So people will work with you and you'll find yourself ahead of the game. So what does that mean? Well, boosting your acoustic skills. What makes you you? What makes you human? What makes it so people want to connect with you rather than using AI, which is cheaper, almost even free? What is it that you bring to the table? That's what you've got to be able to prove. And there is a way of doing it so people will want to work with you regardless. Yeah, you can get the thing as I talked about on an AI. You can read it somewhere on Google. You can ask your local ChatGPT or Bard or Copilot to come up with what they would talk about. But is that the same as watching me? No. Does it have my baldy bits here at the front, or my grey hair, or my pointy beard, or my northern accent from the north of the UK? No, it doesn't. It's specific. Those people who like watching and listening to me will still continue to do so. Those who want to get it elsewhere, good luck, there you go. But those who see you and know you and get used to you and like and trust you with credibility will always come back to you. That's where the VIP mentoring program comes in. Let me share with you what you get when you join me and you work with me over the summer. Now, here's the diagram I use to show where people are. In order to get along this roadmap, you've got 6 stages. I'll go through it very quickly. First of all, you've got the awareness that you need to be bigger and better. Then aspiration, number 2, to say, I know kind of what I want, but I don't know what it is specifically. Then you start driving your brand. You start working towards where you really need to be. Then when you start heading there, you reposition yourself. Oh, I'm going in the wrong direction, but I've got the right idea. And then you realize you don't need to carry all that stuff in the vehicle, in the car, when you're heading towards your destiny to find your guests, your target audience, to get your objectives done. And then finally, number 6 is when you own, when you have that space so people know exactly who you are and what you do. That's when you're an industry icon. For me, people bring me in to do one specific job with live events. Do a Dave Crane on it. What do you mean? Get people to have a laugh. Get them to know exactly what it is that the companies are bringing, look after the sponsors, guarantee a good time is had by all, but do it within the parameters of what the event is about, so the event becomes even bigger and stronger for next year. That's what they do with me. That's why they bring me into so many big events all around the world. And as I'm speaking about this, I'm just about to go and speak at the Vatican. Yes. I've done the World Economic Forum this year as well as many of the world's biggest tech events and personal development events. Why? Because my brand is out there. They just need to connect with it. They might not even know me until I send the stuff to them. And they go, this is a guy we want. And I've been told, there's one event, I won't mention which one because it's unfair to talk about the people who are doing it, but it's the number 1 event in the world for its niche. And when I asked about what made you select me, they said we had 20 people that we'd narrowed it down to. But when we looked at your CV and your trust and credibility and the proof and the optics of what you do, you were at the top of the food chain and we had to have you. And that's why we'd pay whatever it took to get you. That's what you need to have. So what's that mean? Here's what you get when you start working with me. First of all, you get to work with me directly. 2 VIP mentoring sessions with me, a before and after session. So with that, you think about it and you say, well, Dave, I can find it on my own. Not as fast as we can. Because I've done things, and you can Google to see if I've done it, then you'll get your success in one fell swoop. Otherwise, it'll take you months or even years. We don't have months or years. I've told you this all the way through. AI is already there's a battle between AI warfare at the moment. All these big tech companies, even in the same countries, are fighting each other. Countries are fighting each other to get the best tech onto the market. Will they turn a world into like a Terminator world where the hunting is in the streets? I don't think so. I don't think that's what's going to happen. But I do think you'll see a massive disruption like we've never faced before. And many people will be unemployed or unemployable. I will make sure that you have at least a fighting chance because your skill sets are at a higher level than everybody else. You can raise your game in 1 month. We do our first session, and then you've got your homework, and we come together 2 or 3 weeks later, and we refine and work on it. Let me explain. So we brainstorm where you are, and we create a roadmap for the work that you need to do, wherever it is. I'll go through those things in a moment. Be writing a book, starting a podcast, raising your game online, doing social media more effectively. It could be getting on LinkedIn so people then connect with you. So you've got much bigger fans and followers. So people then know that you are one of the best in your industry. And then the second session, we get together, we review what you've done and develop a better way, a better strategy of doing stuff based on what you've had so far. So it's really powerful. And then by the time it comes around to September or whenever it is that you go back to work, you may be at work already, your game is raised. People say, where do you get that from? That's amazing. You don't have to tell them, but if you tell them, they'll come to me and I'll be very good. I'll give you a referral. Okay, so that's how it works. Plus, I've also got more. Here's what else you get with our VIP mentoring program. I will give you a copy of the Personal Branding Accelerator program. Remember this? If you don't, this is it. If you're a decision maker who's worried you're wasting time missing out on great clients, even losing money, you can fix it immediately with the Personal Branding Accelerator program. I help game changers like you build a personal and business brand that automatically attracts clients who want to invest in you. Imagine waking up and feeling unstoppable because your ideas turn into dollars every time. Get booked onto podcasts, master LinkedIn, and attract clients immediately with the Personal Branding Accelerator program and discover the future successes you deserve right now. So you're interested in that, but you don't know what it is. Let me share with you then. The Personal Branding Accelerator gives you all the knowledge you need to overcome imposter syndrome. It helps you to get a leadership strategy for LinkedIn. It teaches you messaging maps. Who are your clients? Who's your target audience? And how you message them effectively. It's genius, this, by the way. Then it builds your personal brand with you, so you understand what it is that your audience wants from you. So if you just tell them, this is me, people are going to go, I might not want that. But when you understand who they are, then they'll want to work with you. And last but not least, it allows you to know the criteria for becoming a very popular podcast guest. Why is that important? Well, you might want a podcast, but it's a lot of work to put it together. Trust me, I know. But you could be a guest on lots of people's podcasts talking about your brand and what you do. Why would that be more preferable than to actually be, the owner of a podcast? Because they've got a ready-made audience that they've cultivated. You talk to 10 different top podcasts and their audience get to know you and follow you and get interested in your business and being a connection that they would trust and see as credible to hire for the services that you offer. Can you see that? This is a gift to you as part of the VIP mentoring program. And that's not the only thing, even more. What I'm going to share with you is this, my new book, The Thought Leaders Playbook, exclusive. Nobody has got a copy of this, and you get a digital copy of it because that allows you then to dart around the book. It's hyperlinked, so you can have it on your phone, and whenever you want to think about these challenges, these exercises about becoming a thought leader, that's all there built in for you. And you're thinking, Dave, well, everybody's written a book. What makes yours so special? Well, many of the people that you've seen on this podcast have reviewed the book, and this is what they say. First of all, the book is dedicated towards your signature projects. And you're saying, what signature projects, Dave? The things that will separate you from everybody else. These include personal branding. These include public speaking mastery. These include attracting fans and followers. They also allow you to overcome imposter syndrome, launch your podcast or your TV show, create influential content that people would want to be with you, and also writing books and courses, organizing events and retreats. All this stuff is part of what's in the book. Really useful stuff. And the comments that are made by many of the people helps you to monetize your expertise and create a legacy that people will want to work with you in the future and they respect you, and it opens a ton of doors. But don't just take my word for it. Let's look at what the leaders say. The top thought leaders in various industries say about the Thought Leaders Playbook. Remember, you're getting this before anybody else. It's not even on Amazon. It will be shortly, but you will get a digital copy. That's not going to be available that you could use straight away. So here's what they say. First of all, Jeff Smith, dear friend of mine, amazing guy, the world's #1 best-selling author on KPI and business management. When I talk to Jeff, he's got a course that the whole automobile is embracing. I can't talk about it. It's his right to talk about it, but it just blow your mind. He says, in your hands, you hold more than just a book. You hold the keys to unlocking your leadership potential. And as you turn each page, allow the words to resonate, the insights to illuminate, and the challenges to empower you. Your journey to becoming an exceptional leader begins here, and the world awaits the impact that only you can make. Let the adventure commence. So, as well as him, you've got Dave Ulrich, the father of modern HR. You may have seen Dave Ulrich as well. Mrs. according to Forbes, who see him as a top 5 coach. Amazing guy, genius. Says about this creating an industry icon. You can read all this, you can pause it. I want to get through this, so I value your time as well. Joel Comm, incredible guy, dear friend of mine as well. Best-selling author and a real brain box when it comes to creating products on the market. He's one of the world's first and most foremost respected internet marketers, and a genius and a really funny guy as well. Raymond Aron, I've watched him walk on stage and in 90 minutes walk away with $500,000 from the people in the audience who just go, wow, take my money, I want to work with you. So Raymond Aron has said this: Dave's approach to building a personal brand is groundbreaking. His methods of crafting an authentic and compelling online identity are invaluable for any aspiring leader. I should learn to speak and read it, probably, shouldn't I? And he's a best-selling author for New York Times. Genius. Google any of these people. Dr. Corey John Block. He's the foremost coach for business in the UAE, and it's all there. He's a genius. Look up these people. I promise you, they're amazing. Richard Hill, who's having a huge influence in the way people review the American elections. He's got software. He's got stuff on this. Really, really smart guy. Great business as well. One of my industry icons. This guy you'll probably know, Anthony J. James, Australia's #1 LinkedIn influencer with about 4 million followers. And he tells everybody what he thinks of the book. These are not accidental people. These are people who've had a look at it, read it, and turned around, and they want to share that. You're going to get this book to drive your knowledge all the way through the rest of your life, but starting off this summer. Plus, also, as well as these things, you get this too. You get to create your signature project with me. That's the whole point. You got the book as a reference point, you raise your game with the accelerator, but then what's your project going to be? Well, I've created the legacy blueprints. I've created it so whenever you decide what it is you want to do, whether writing a book, or producing a podcast, or running a course, or being better connected, or reaching out and having thousands of followers, or having more influence, I've got a blueprint I've written for you to follow, and we'll go through it during our sessions. So what's that mean? Have a very quick look at this. I won't spend too long on it. All these things. Don't worry about the cost. Don't worry about the price. These are different for everybody. It depends on what you focus for. Some will give you that. Some will give you less. But anything above the game is really worth working for. Can you see the different opportunities there? Mastermind groups, paid content creation, licensing your products, doing seminars, retreats. Got the entire book business model. Your book, as you've seen, is not just a book. What is your book? Your book is a business card that makes people pay attention to you. The more that you give away to people, the more people want to work with you because they respect you as a real influencer in your business, a thought leader. So you get all these advantages, the things I've mentioned, just by joining the VIP program. Here's what the benefits are for you. So, first of all, you can upskill your brand and speaking. Also, you get recognition in your industry. Remember, this is in 1 month. You can join our global community that we have some thought leaders from around the world. You get a signature message product, something that when you concentrate on sharing it with people or you send it out to people, they go, wow, you are really good at this. We need to talk. You got AI proofing for future work. Why? Because you'll get the early warning system that maybe something's coming from for your job, but people will turn to you for help faster because you're a thought leader. You got a roadmap towards that thought leadership. You got the book to work through. You got peace of mind and a lot less stress because you know what, I'm doing as much as I can to fix this and I'm going okay. And also, you have belief in yourself. Self-belief reduces stress. It also means that when you reduce the stress, you are able to have well-being and feel much more comfortable in your own skin. These are things and facts. You get benefits of working with me with the VIP mentoring program. You have the ability to build a future that you want, and also you can raise your game. Imagine raising a game in 1 month. So when people turn around and say, I'm worried about my job, you'll say, well, I'm not so worried about it. I'm already doing things to position it. The system I'm using here works. Let me illustrate to you. And by the way, this is the link, the QR code, to get your VIP mentoring program details. When the pandemic hit us, everybody was going, oh my goodness, what happens next? And for many people, they pivoted or they work from home. That's easy. You do the same job. If you're a speaker, what are you going to do? If you mentor people to speak, what are you going to do? If your wife is a top award-winning wedding photographer, but there are no more gatherings of human beings and no more public weddings, what are you going to do? You've got to reinvent yourself. Guess what I did? Every single thing I'm sharing with you now with the VIP mentoring program. I pivoted, I changed, and for the 2 years that there were no live events during the pandemic, I was able to look after my family, and now it's turned into a thriving business where I'm speaking in the Vatican. I'm also doing these incredible events around the world. I'm booked to speak on stages everywhere as a personal keynote speaker or coaching and training people to do public speaking, all that and more. So there's more competition, and I don't care about the competition. It just raises an interest in the world to do more of what it is that I offer. But my brand is enough so people turn around and say, that's the guy I want to work with. And that's what I want you to experience as well. So I've helped tons of people become industry icons. It would be unfair of me to name all of them. So I'm not going to do that because in many cases, and it was true for me when I used to do golfing, I used to train golfers with hypnotherapy, as I'm a hypnotherapist, and golfers would never tell anybody but they've been to see me to raise their game in golf. For a golfer, what you do is in hypnosis, you imagine the tiny little hole that you're hitting the ball into becomes massive. So the ball's still tiny, the hole is massive, and subconsciously, you're not worried about whether it goes in or not. You know that you're going to get it, and it reflects in your game. But golfers never tell people who've been to see me. Why? Because then people think, oh, well, in that case, you cheated. You saw a hypnotherapist or an expert. So out of respect for the people that have worked with me, I'm not going to name names. If I showed you the stuff they're doing now, you just go, oh, my goodness, that was through you, Dave? And it's true. It would be. Many of them would say, Dave, go ahead, but I don't think it's fair to do it right now, so I'm not going to. If you work with me, I'll reveal who it is that you know that are already my clients and industry icons. So I will share this with you anyway.
I have been participating in Dave Crane's Industry Icon program.
Dave Crane is one of the best coaches in the industry.
One of the most knowledgeable speakers I know.
I was so impressed.
He shared the stage with celebrities, athletes, politicians, and royalty.
You've been an inspiration to me since the first time I saw you on LinkedIn, man.
New prospects should know that you are a world-class broadcaster.
He's a true professional. He operates from his heart, and he always speaks his truth.
Where do I begin?
I looked around the room, and all I could see was eyes on you, ears on you. You could have heard a pencil drop.
Dave is someone who is a limitless thinker with a big heart.
And his Industry Icon program helps coach great leaders into becoming great speakers.
It's helped me improve my image online.
Everyone I know that's worked with you says the same thing.
It's helped me improve my presentation and speaking abilities.
Clarity, and clarity.
But more importantly, it's helped me to have a crystal clear message in what benefit I can add to my audience.
You know, I'm in TV, and so people assume that, you know, speaking in front of crowds is easy. But I'm on a set, and it's very different to go from a closed set to speaking to a live audience.
Now, because of Dave, I totally get it. I totally get why it's important, and I totally get that I can do it too.
So that's the Industry Icon program. You're going to get a special version of it with the VIP mentoring program. This is specific, and it's only during the summer. I'm not going to do this program or this promotion again. It's to upskill you ahead of what's coming. So during the summer, you can do 2 things with me. You have 2 sessions with me. You got all the skills, the entire course of all the other stuff. You got the book. You got the ability to raise your game. And this is how you do it. We do a beginning and an after of what you need to do, what you need to work on. If this resonates with you and interests you, all you do is go to www.speakonstage.com/summervip and register there. As soon as you've confirmed it, all the details will be sent to you by email. You can download everything and you get your first chance to book me. There are limited positions because I'm traveling. But if you do it now, I can work with you now. Raise your game this summer. You don't know what's around the corner. Here's a QR code. Just scan that and we can work together. I hope this has been useful for you. I hope you have an interest in raising your game. If you wait to get wiped out, I don't know, honestly, what the best way is for you to move forward. It's just I know that if you feel comfortable, then you should feel uncomfortable being comfortable. Your comfort zone isn't comfortable anymore. If you're constantly changing and constantly growing, then that's the way you should feel. Why? Because the tsunami won't catch up with you. And if it does, by that time you've learned to surf. Has this been useful for you? I hope so. This is a QR code you need to go to the VIP mentoring program. I look forward to catching up with you and I love your comments and your feedback. If you want to ask me questions directly, then feel free to leave comments here or directly message me. If you want me to train your team or you want to be very specific, then make sure you do. This is a limited offer. The details are on the website under www.speakonstage VIP, Summer VIP, which I had there for you here. You can see it once again. The details are on this website. So if you go to that, then you'll find out everything. There should be a Q&A on there shortly as well to be able to raise your game too. Life is too short. If you're waiting around for somebody to give you something, then this is the closest you can get to it. If you're thinking, Dave, but what's a guarantee that we're going to get anything in life? What are you going to guarantee? I don't guarantee anything, but I can show you proof and steps. Success leaves clues. And the people that work with you will want to see the clues that you leave, that you're the very best at what you do. I hope you enjoyed today's session. The next session that we do, we've got an incredible interview lined up with a Hollywood agent who'll be sharing his vision of the future of media. What's going to happen to cinemas? What's going to happen to TV? And what's going to happen to your enjoyment? Or even if you're getting into the industry, what do you need to do to survive in a changing world of AI and entertainment? We've also got lined up one of the world's top influencers in cybersecurity. She's amazing, cybersecurity girl. Got so many things lined up in the podcast. Make sure you subscribe for it wherever you watch this. I look forward to catching you in future episodes. I will teach you how to jump and grow wings on the way down. And if you have worked it out during the summer, we'll work out together with a VIP mentoring program. But meanwhile, I'll catch you on the next episode. Whether you're listening to it online or watching it here, this is Speak on Stage.